King Solomon, son of David, is one of the most celebrated figures in the Hebrew Bible, renowned for his unparalleled wisdom, wealth, and the building of the first temple in Jerusalem. His story, recorded in the books of 1 Kings, chapters 1 to 11, and 2 Chronicles, chapters 1 to 9, is often remembered for the proverb, "Wisdom is better than strength." Yet beneath his legendary achievements lies a tragic narrative of moral and spiritual decline. Understanding Solomon's rise and fall reveals not only historical and political realities, but also profound lessons about human ambition, temptation, and accountability. Solomon's ascent to the throne begins after the death of King David. Despite being one of David's younger sons, Solomon was strategically positioned to inherit the kingship. The biblical text describes how Bathsheba, Solomon's mother, and the prophet Nathan orchestrated David's endorsement of Solomon as the next king, securing his succession over older brothers such as Adonijah. This political maneuvering set the stage for Solomon's rule, highlighting that wisdom in governance involves both strategy and discernment. From the beginning, Solomon is depicted as a man uniquely favored by God. When he becomes king, Solomon famously prays for wisdom instead of wealth or long life. God grants him exceptional discernment, and the narrative recounts immediate demonstrations of this gift. The most iconic example is the judgment between two women who both claim to be the mother of a living child. Solomon proposes to divide the child in two, prompting the true mother to relinquish her claim to save her child. This story cements Solomon's reputation for unparalleled wisdom and establishes his authority as a judge capable of discerning truth even in complex moral dilemmas. Beyond wisdom, Solomon achieves immense wealth and influence. He undertakes the construction of the first temple in Jerusalem, a monumental project that symbolizes both religious devotion and political power. The text describes his alliances with foreign powers, such as King Hiram of Tyre, and the gathering of materials and skilled laborers for the temple's construction. Trade, tribute, and taxation bring Israel unprecedented prosperity. Solomon's reign, often seen as a golden age, is characterized by internal stability, architectural achievement, and cultural flourishing. However, even as Solomon's reputation for wisdom grows, the biblical text begins to note warning signs of moral decline. One of the clearest indicators is Solomon's marriages to foreign women, 700 wives and 300 concubines, many of whom were princesses from neighboring nations. The text emphasizes that these women came from nations with detestable gods, and that Solomon's relationships with them led him to participate in idolatrous practices. While political marriages were common and often necessary for alliances, Solomon's personal devotion to God becomes increasingly compromised. He builds high places and altars for foreign deities, actions explicitly condemned in the Torah. Solomon's spiritual decline has political and social consequences. Heavy taxation and forced labor required to support his monumental building projects and lavish court sow discontent among the Israelites. Although Israel remains powerful, cracks appear in unity and loyalty, setting the stage for division after Solomon's death. The text portrays this as a direct consequence of Solomon turning away from exclusive devotion to God. Another subtle but critical aspect of Solomon's fall is his over-reliance on wealth and material power. The narrative repeatedly contrasts his early desire for wisdom with his later indulgence in luxury, political maneuvering, and personal pleasure. Proverbs and Ecclesiastes, traditionally attributed to Solomon, reflect both wisdom and existential questioning, perhaps revealing his own awareness of life's contradictions and the fleeting nature of material achievement. Scholars have debated whether these writings are autobiographical or reflective of general philosophical exploration, but they underscore the tension between spiritual ideals and human indulgence. Ultimately, Solomon's story ends with a stark evaluation by the biblical authors. Although he was granted wisdom, wealth, and unmatched honor, his heart turned away from God in his later years. God declares that the kingdom will be torn from his son, and indeed, Upon Solomon's death, the united monarchy divides. The northern tribes formed the kingdom of Israel under Jeroboam, while Judah and Benjamin remained loyal to Solomon's son, Rehoboam. Solomon's personal failures thus have long-lasting ramifications, influencing the political and spiritual trajectory of Israel for centuries. Several lessons emerge from Solomon's rise and fall. First, wisdom and power are not safeguards against moral failure. Second, external success and internal integrity are not automatically aligned. One can achieve wealth, influence, and acclaim, yet suffer spiritual erosion. Third, the choices leaders make in private, such as alliances, personal relationships, and spiritual commitments, can profoundly impact both their reign and their legacy. In my personal opinion, Solomon's story is deeply human and surprisingly relatable. His brilliance and achievements make his eventual decline shocking, yet understandable. The narrative reminds me that no matter how gifted or blessed someone is, vigilance over one's values, relationships, and priorities is essential. Solomon's fall is tragic not merely because of his mistakes, but because it reflects the universal tension between desire, responsibility, and the fragility of human virtue. His life stands as a cautionary tale. Wisdom alone is insufficient without sustained moral commitment, and power without restraint can easily lead to ruin. The story of Solomon resonates across time because it mirrors the challenges that every individual faces when balancing ambition, temptation, and the pursuit of lasting meaning.